Okay, I want you to picture the color green. And I don't just mean the color of money, though, spoiler alert, we are definitely going to talk about a boatload of cash today.
A literal boatload.
I'm talking about that specific Kelly green. I'm talking about, that leprechaun lucky and clouds of cigar smoke and that bizarre floor that makes the ball bounce sideways.
You're talking about the Boston Celtics.
We are unpacking the legacy of the Boston Celtics today.
And it really is the story of the NBA in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just took the Celtics out of the history books, the league would look completely different.
Oh, completely.
We're talking about a franchise that, as of 2024, finally broke that tie with the Lakers.
Stood alone with 18 championships. They've got more wins than any other team in history. It's a resume that, frankly, reads like fiction.
It does.
But here's the thing that really grabbed me and why we're doing this deep dive right now. It's not just the trophies. It's the valuation. We're recording this looking back at May of 2025, which feels it's just yesterday, when the team was sold to William Chisholm and his private equity group.
For $6.1 billion.
$6.1 billion with a B. I tried to visualize that amount of money earlier today, and I
got a headache.
It's a staggering number, and at the moment the ink dried, it was the highest price ever paid for a North American sports franchise.
Right.
Now, we know the market is just insane because the Lakers sold a majority stake later in 2025 that valued them at $10 billion, but that 6.1 for the Celtics is the watershed moment.
Yeah.
It forces the question, how? How do you go from, a startup in 1946 playing in dusty, smoke-filled gyms to a $6 billion global asset?
That is the mission today. We are going to trace that line from the Red Auerbach era through the tragedies of the 90s, the Big Three resurgence, and then, of course, the modern Jays era.
That's quite right.
But we have to start at the beginning. 1946, the Basketball Association of America forms. Boston gets a team. And were they an instant hit? Far from it. They were terrible.
Okay.
The team was founded by Walter Brown, who ran the Boston Garden. They were losing money, losing games. The real turning point didn't happen until 1950, when they hired a guy named Red Auerbach.
The man who would eventually have a cigar permanently glued to his hand?
That's the one. But you have to understand the context of the NBA in the 50s. I mean, there were no massive front offices, no analytics departments.
Right.
Red Auerbach was the coach, the general manager, the scout. He was practically the travel agent. He was the entire operation.
And he was, let's say, a creative negotiator. I found a story in the research that I actually didn't believe it at first. It sounds like something from a movie.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
It's 1956. The Celtics are desperate to draft Bill Russell.
Russell was the ultimate prize. Coming out of the University of San Francisco, he had 2 NCAA titles, an Olympic gold medal. Everyone knew he was a defensive genius.
But the Celtics don't have the #1 pick. The Rochester Royals do. So logic says the Royals take Russell. Auerbach needs them to pass on him.
So he can trade for the #2 pick and grab him. But why on earth would Rochester pass on Bill Russell?
This is one of my favorite stories in sports business history.
It's amazing.
Okay, so the owner of the Celtics, Walter Brown, he had a side hustle. He ran the Ice Capades.
The traveling ice skating show, which was huge entertainment back then. I mean, no internet, no cable TV. People went to the ice show.
Exactly. And the Rochester Royals owner, Les Harrison, was struggling financially. He was having trouble filling his arena. So Auerbach and Brown make him an offer. They say, if you promise not to draft Bill Russell, we will send the Ice Capades to Rochester for a week-long run.
Think about that. They didn't trade a player. They didn't trade cash. They traded a figure skating performance for the rights to Bill Russell.
It sounds like a front for something. Here's some ice skaters. You give me the future Hall of Famer.
It was the Wild West, but it worked. Rochester took Hugo Green, a decent player, but no Russell. And the Celtics traded for the #2 pick. They drafted Russell. And that moment birthed the dynasty.
Talk about return on investment. But Auerbach wasn't just using ice shows to build a team. He was also ignoring the unspoken rules of the league regarding race.
He was. And this is a critical part of the legacy. In 1950, Auerbach drafted Chuck Cooper.
The first black player ever selected by an NBA franchise.
And Red's philosophy was just brutally simple.
Yeah.
I don't give a damn if he's striped, plaid, or polka dot. Boston takes the player who can win.
And that wasn't just talk. By 1964, the Celtics did something that had never been done in U.S. pro sports.
They fielded the first all-African-American starting lineup. Bill Russell, Satch Sanders, Casey Jones, Sam Jones, and Willie Knowles.
Wow.
Tom Heinsohn was injured. And they They played a significant portion of the season that way.
And they didn't just break barriers, they broke the will of every other team. The stats from that era are just, they're laughable.
They're statistical anomalies. From 1957 to 1969, the Celtics won 11 championships in 13 years.
11 and 13.
That includes 8 in a row, 8 consecutive titles. In modern sports, winning 2 in a row is considered a dynasty.
They won 8. It just breaks your brain when you compare it to today's league. But Russell wasn't just the anchor on the court. When Red finally retired from coaching in '66, he made another historic move.
He named Bill Russell as his successor, player coach. Russell became the first black head coach in any major U.S. professional sport.
And he didn't just hold a clipboard?
No, he won 2 more titles as the player coach in '68 and '69.
So Russell retires in '69, and usually when a dynasty like that ends, the team just falls off a cliff for 20 years. But then the Celtics, they didn't.
Right.
And this is a part of the history I feel like people skip over. We always jump from Russell straight to Larry Bird, but we need to talk about the '70s.
I'm glad you brought this up. The Bridge era is fascinating because it proved the Celtics were a system, not just a vehicle for Bill Russell. You had Dave Cowens and John Havlicek leading the way. They won titles in '74 and '76.
And 1976. We have to stop there. The greatest game ever played.
Game 5 of the finals against the Phoenix Suns. It is widely considered the wildest game in NBA history. Triple overtime.
Triple overtime.
The Suns hit a miracle shot at the buzzer of the second overtime. Gar heard, the shot heard around the world, to tie it. The fans in Boston actually stormed the court thinking the game was over.
Before it was over.
Yeah, the referees had to clear the floor. It was total chaos. But the Celtics pulled it out and won the title.
It just solidified that the winning culture wasn't a fluke. But by the late '70s, the roster was aging and the league itself was, in trouble.
Big trouble. Ratings were down. Cocaine was a major issue. The NBA needed a savior. And they got 2 of them.
1979, Larry Bird arrives in Boston. Magic Johnson arrives in Los Angeles.
And everything changes.
This rivalry, it wasn't just basketball, was it? It felt like a culture war.
Oh, it absolutely was.
Yeah.
You had the Showtime Lakers, glitz, glamour, Hollywood, fast breaks. And then you have the Celtics, blue-collar, physical, half-court execution, black sneakers.
East Coast versus West Coast.
It saved the NBA. The viewership skyrocketed whenever these 2 teams played.
And Red Auerbach, who is now the general manager, decides he hasn't pulled off enough heists yet. He needs to build a team around Bird. So we get to the 1980 trade.
The McHale trade. This is another masterclass. The Celtics held the #1 overall pick. Most GMs would just draft the best player, go home.
Right.
Auerbach trades the #1 pick to the Golden State Warriors. In exchange, he gets Robert Parrish, a center who was unhappy and underutilized in Golden State, and the Warriors' #3 pick.
So he trades down, gets a Hall of Fame center in Parrish, and then with the 3rd pick,
he drafts Kevin McHale.
So in one afternoon, he acquires 2/3 of the greatest front court in the history of the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bird, McHale, and Parrish. The original Big 3. They went on to win in '81, '84, and then the masterpiece in 1986.
That '86 team is the one people still talk about. They had Bill Walton coming off the bench.
A healthy-ish Bill Walton. They went 40-1 at home. They were arguably the greatest passing team ever assembled. If you watch the tape, the ball just, it never touches the floor. It was beautiful.
But then everything just stops. And this is the part of the story that turns into a Greek tragedy. We go from the highest high in '86 to the lowest low imaginable.
The Len Bias tragedy. This is the moment that just, it broke the timeline.
So they just won the championship.
And somehow, they have the #2 overall pick in the draft. They draft Len Bias from Maryland. He was supposed to be the guy to take the torch from Larry Bird. He was a superstar.
A can't-miss prospect.
And less than 48 hours after being drafted, he died of a cocaine overdose.
It's devastating on a human level, first and foremost, but from a basketball perspective, it just left this massive hole.
It destroyed their future. And then, as if that wasn't enough, in 1993, their captain Reggie Lewis collapsed and later died of a heart condition.
So you lose your future ace and your current captain in the span of 7 years.
And that ushered in the dark ages.
I grew up in this era, and let me tell you, it was bleak. The '90s Celtics were not the Celtics of lore.
They were irrelevant. They bottomed out in '96-'97 with 15 wins and a franchise record 67 losses.
Yeah.
They brought in Rick Pitino to save them, thinking his college press system would work.
Spoiler, it did not.
It was a complete disaster. Pitino famously ripped into the fans and press, yelling, "Larry Bird is not walking through that door. Kevin McHale is not walking through that door."
Which was true, but maybe not what the fans wanted to hear while they were losing 60 games.
It was a harsh reality check. The Celtics' mystique was dead. The team was just a bad basketball team.
So they needed a complete teardown. Enter Danny Ainge. It's 2007. The team has been mediocre, maybe even bad, for almost 20 years. Paul Pierce is the captain, and he is miserable.
He is. He's playing with guys who wouldn't make a G League roster today. And Ainge decides to push all his chips into the middle of the table.
The new big three.
Yep. He trades for Ray Allen. Then he trades basically half the roster to get Kevin Garnett from Minnesota.
It was an instant super team. They went from 24 wins to 66 wins in one season.
The biggest turnaround in league history. And they capped it off by beating the Lakers in 2008 for the 17th title. It was validation. The franchise wasn't cursed.
But here's the thing about buying a super team. The window is small. Garnett and Pierce were already in their 30s. By 2013, they were running on fumes. And this is where Danny Ainge pulls off what I think is the greatest heist since the Ice Capades.
The Brooklyn trade.
Oh, yeah.
This is the defining move of the modern era. In 2013, the Celtics sent the aging Pierce and Garnett to the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets had a new billionaire owner who wanted to win a title right now and didn't care about the cost.
So Brooklyn gets the big names. What did Boston get?
They got a handful of role players, but the real assets were the draft picks. 2014, 2016, 2018, and a pick swap in 2017. But here's the key detail people miss. The picks were unprotected.
Okay, break that down for us. Why does unprotected matter so much?
Usually, when a team trades a future pick, they put protections on it. They say, if this pick ends up being number 1, 2, or 3, we keep it, and you get next year's. It's insurance in case this team completely collapses.
Got it.
Ainge convinced the Nets to remove the insurance. He was essentially shorting the Nets stock. He bet that by 2016, 2017, Garnett and Pierce would be gone, the Nets would be terrible, and those picks would be gold.
And he was right. The Nets cratered. And those draft picks turned into
Jaylen Brown in 2016 and Jayson Tatum in 2017.
The Jays.
Yeah.
The foundation of the team that just sold for over $6 billion.
The incredible asset managed it. They skipped the painful rebuilding decade that usually follows a championship era. They outsourced their tanking to Brooklyn.
So now we have the Jays. They grow together. They make a finals run in 2022 but lose to Golden State. And then finally, the 2023-24 season.
A dominant March. 64 wins in the regular season. They breezed through the playoffs. They beat Dallas 4-1 in the finals. Jaylen Brown wins finals MVP.
And that's banner number 18, the tiebreaker with the Lakers.
It secured their spot at the top of the mountain. But sports moves fast. We're sitting here in 2026 looking back at the 24-25 season where they won another division title but got knocked out by the Knicks in the conference semis.
Right. Which brings us back to the ownership change. The team is sold. And this is where I want to get a little technical for a second. We keep hearing about the second apron. It sounds like kitchenware, but apparently it's terrifying for billionaires. What is it?
It's the new salary cap rule that is, it's basically designed to kill dynasties. If you spend over a certain amount, the second apron, the league comes down hard.
How so?
You lose your exceptions to sign free agents. You can't trade your draft picks 7 years out. You can't aggregate salaries and trades. It basically freezes your roster.
So in the 60s, Red could just keep paying Bill Russell. In the 80s, they could pay Burr and McHale. But now, if you pay Tatum and Brown supermax contracts, you basically can't afford anyone else without getting handcuffed by the league?
Precisely. And that's why the valuation is so interesting. The new owners paid $6.1 billion for a team that is incredibly expensive to maintain. They're walking into a situation where keeping this championship core together for 5 or 6 years is mathematically punitive in a way it never was before.
So the question is, was 2024 a standalone peak? Is the era of the dynasty winning 3 or 4 rings in a decade? Is that even possible anymore?
I think the definition of dynasty has to change. The days of winning 11 and 13 years are gone. Impossible. With the talent spread out and the financial rules, maybe winning 2 in 5 years is the new dynasty.
Before we wrap up, though, I want to touch on the one thing that money hasn't changed. The vibe. The weird little tradition.
The lore.
Yeah. We talked about the Ice Capades, but what about Lucky the Leprechaun? Did you know Red Auerbach's brother designed that logo?
Zang Auerbach. Yeah, he was a commercial artist. It's such a mom-and-pop detail for a multi-billion-dollar brand.
And the sneakers. For decades, if you played for Boston, you wore black sneakers. Period.
Red hated white sneakers. He thought they looked dirty and unprofessional. Even when Michael Jordan was making colorful shoes famous, the Celtics looked like they were wearing dress shoes.
It was psychological warfare. We are here to work. We aren't here to look pretty.
Totally.
And the parquet floor. It's iconic, but originally it was just because of lumber scarcity after World War II, right?
Correct. They used scrap wood to build the floor. And because it was scraps, it had dead spots. The ball wouldn't bounce right in certain areas.
And I assume the Celtics knew exactly where those spots were.
Oh, absolutely. You'd see opposing players dribble into a corner and the ball would just die. Red Auerbach loved that. He claimed it was a myth, but he never fixed the floor.
It's that accumulation of history, the floor, the cigars, the banners, that makes that $6.1 billion price tag make a little more sense. You aren't just buying a basketball team. You're buying a mythology.
You're buying the 18 banners. You're buying the ghost of Red Auerbach. And you're buying the expectation that banner 19 is mandatory.
That's the pressure the new owners are walking into. Well, whether they win another one next year or in another 16 years, one thing is for sure, the price of admission just went up.
And hopefully they keep the black sneakers.
We can only hope. Thanks for diving in with us. We'll catch you on the next one.